Hey guys, welcome. See if we get a couple people here, a couple more hop on. This will be recorded, so I've got you all muted and kind of closed down right now. You can just put anything in the chat if you want. That way, if you don't want to be seen, you're not right now. But if you can see the chat box, you can go in there. So give me a one in there if you see the chat. Got it. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I don't know. Has anyone, let me know if anyone gotten to log in and look around, look at your chat, look at your menus yet, get to experience that. Let me know in the comments while we're waiting for a few minutes. Logged on, looked around a bit, but not too much. Okay. Did some switch arounds. Okay. Well, yeah, let me know if there's any questions as we go, but I'll be hitting, hopefully, I think what are a lot of the basics here. So I'm going to do a screen share in just a minute. We'll pop over there. So I hope you guys like this. So I'm going to pull up, what am I going to do? And then for everyone on this or watching the recording, essentially, let me see my notes here. I've got a couple things I'm going to go over. So I'm going to show you on the 28-day refresh what it looks like, which is a more intensive plan than some others. And then I'll show you some of the others as well, just as a quick comparison. So you can kind of see, because the first step, and we'll talk about this, is determining how many different days you want. And we'll talk about that in a minute before we really dive into things. So I've got a couple different options for that. And then we'll kind of go over how you can look at servings to make sure your ingredient list is going to be accurate to the number that you're looking to do. And then how you can tweak things and adjust them. And if you have flavor preferences, what we can do for that. And then new recipes. And then you can look at your nutrition overall, like it'll do the nutritional breakdown analysis for you, and then a shopping list. So that's kind of the order that we're going to tick through here. Make sure I've got everything. And then we'll get in it. So if you're watching the recording, you can bounce in a little bit here. Okay, yeah, we're 5 after, so I think we'll go ahead and just get started. So let me do the screen share here, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so can you see my screen? Let me know in the comments. Yes. Okay, cool. So you see the menu. So this is what your menu looks like if you're doing January 2 through 8. Now, like I told people on the posts, there will be 4 weeks, and so it'll kind of rotate through the 4 whenever you start. So if you then, oh, you can't see it on here. So that's the demo one. Then if I have all 4 weeks. So if you don't want to start till the 9th because you're just kind of crazy with the New Year's, then when you start on the 9th, this will be your menu plan. If you get in halfway through the month because you just realized maybe like you're just struggling with this, you hate taking the time to figure it out, then you'll start here. But either way, it'll kind of cycle through the 4. So whenever you jump in, you'll be on the same starting menu as everybody else for that week. So we can kind of share and talk in the Facebook group about it. So what we're seeing here is 7 days worth of menu options. And I like to do it that way with something like a 28-day refresh because I just want to really help you jumpstart by giving you a lot of options. I try to keep everything really simple. And the dietitians that I've hired to help with this, we know that we want it simple, we want it basic. We don't want anything super complex. So if you're looking for gourmet meals, this might not be your thing. But if you want quick, healthy, balanced, stabilizing blood sugar, carb controlled, not carb free, low inflammation, and a lot of good things in there so that you can reset your metabolism, help rebalance your hormones, help reduce inflammation, then this is a really nice starting point. And the first thing you have to do, though, is a lot of people, this is overwhelming to see different breakfast every single day, different lunch every day, different dinner every day. So there's a couple things going on in here. And that's where I'm saying, like, the first thing you need to decide is how many days do you want to prep, in the sense of how many days are you willing to do leftovers? I personally don't like to spend a ton of time doing food prep, just because I have so many other things I'd rather put my time and energy into. So we typically do one breakfast Monday through Friday, and it'll be something super simple like a yogurt parfait. We do a lot of hard-boiled eggs because you can prep those ahead of time. We don't actually do a lot of omelets in the sense like this, what you'll see here, but we do like the little individual mini egg bakes. That would be similar because you can reheat those in the microwave real quickly. We typically do one breakfast all week long, 1 or 2 lunches all week long, and then maybe 2 to 3 dinners, split that up. Other things you can do are use leftovers. So if you see these that are grayed out, that is because that recipe with this little green bag, that's assuming you're going to do a leftover. So the skillet roasted chicken thighs with carrots and kale you had for dinner Tuesday night is now the leftovers for lunch. Same with the salad. So it tries to simplify it that way. Now, if this is still too much, that's where things like we can do other menus that'll look more like this. And the idea is everything you do on Monday, you're going to repeat on Tuesday. Everything you do on Wednesday, you're going to repeat on Thursday. And you can do that to your own menu. You can go in here, hit this X, and just start deleting these things. What you'll want to do, though, is be careful of these carryovers. So 2 ways you can take care of that. If you're just deleting all of this, you need to make sure where that was used as a leftover, you go in here and you uncheck leftovers. And now it's going to show you how many servings. So if you just need 2, like one for you and one for another family member, or you just need a bigger serving because you intake more calories, just leave it as is or increase your servings. And what I'd encourage is when you're looking at this, check the ingredient list. You want to have these things line up at like somewhat normal intervals here. You drop it down to say 3 servings. Well, that one's not too bad. But I've seen things that come through and they're like, 1 and 1/16 cup of something, or 5/18 of a teaspoon. And so if you can try to find it where it's these nice even numbers, that's going to be even better. And so this is important because whatever's going on here within that recipe and that serving, that's what's going to transfer onto your shopping list. When they're in this leftover sample, because it assumes there was already an initial ingredient list from the initial recipe, it will not count these ingredients. There are no ingredients listed here as leftovers because it assumes it's been somewhere else. So there's nothing to transfer to your shopping list. So it's important to do that. Click that, get rid of it, and now it's going to show you the ingredients and it will now add that to your shopping list. So that's one thing you can do. Another is just let me know if this is too much and you'd rather have something with just the 3. We can still do that as well. So those are your 2 options for checking the servings. And we'll show you the shopping list at the end. So that's what you're going to want to do. And you can switch and adjust things around. You can also just drag and drop and move things. So that's an option. And you can see up here what the total calories are. And it's also going to show you the breakdown of carb, proteins, and fat. And within each meal, you can see that as well. If you hover over the meal, so let's say we're looking at Monday night's dinner, which is the roasted cod, cauliflower and spinach, the asparagus, you're going to hover over it and that little wheel appears. And when you hover over the wheel, it shows you the breakdown for that meal. So it's really nice. You can see your total day. You can also see your amounts per meal. Then you've also got this little yellow square, and that's just to add a note. So if you want to type something in here, like remember to thaw something for tomorrow, or freeze half of this and save later, or bulk prep this, or remind husband to go to the grocery store, like any notes that you want, you can click this, keep it private. I won't see it. So that's sort of the start. You want to figure out how many days you want, which foods you want. If there's something you don't like, you just click the X. You get rid of it, and then you can go over here and search for something else you want. So let's say maybe you have a whole bag of chia seeds available, and you're like, you know what, I just need to use up some chia seeds. You can search for chia and look through the recipes here, and this will show you what's in anything that's got chia. Probably don't want chia. I'm sorry. That assumes you misspelled it for chili. So looking up at the top, you're going to have some of these. So vanilla, almond, peach, pudding. You can click it, drag and drop, and bring it wherever you want. And it automatically added those in. Or if you want to do that here, you saw that disappeared and it added it here. So that's how that works with the drag and drop in the search. If you find a recipe you love, when you open it up, click the heart and it's going to save it in like a recipe box for you. So we've got all those options. Figure out how many days you want, adjust for it, make sure you adjust for the servings and the leftovers, look at the calories, adjust anything you want there. And then if you do have a specific food issue or preference, like you cannot eat something or you really hate something, you never want this item in your recipe. So for example, I put mustard as my example. You can see food preference alert. Oh, milk. I guess I was putting milk. So if you don't want milk, this does have milk in it. So these have milk or mustard. So it will give you an alert, and then you might be able to look at it and be like, you know what, that's fine. Oh, it's I can always use almond milk, instead of regular milk. So that's fine. Or I can omit the mustard and that's fine. But if you really need to avoid something, that's a good way to get alerted. Double check the recipe. There are some kinks in that. As I said, this one technically calls for almond milk, even though it just searched for the word milk. So that is one of the little errors we're still working out. But it can help give you a heads up if there's something you really need to avoid or something you really hate. You'll get that little icon that shows you where something is. So that was that example. If you want to put your own recipe in, if you've got a recipe, you can go to your recipe box, put in new recipe, and just start creating. Put in the title, put in whatever information you want. You can put up a nice picture. You add in all your ingredient lists, put in the directions, and it will start to build your nutritional profile. So that's pretty nice. And that way you can include it if you need it all in your recipe box, or if you need it included in your entire day. So once this loads, while that's loading, any questions so far? Is this dairy free with all that milk? Yeah. Yes, I believe the dietitians and I coordinated and we kept actual dairy milk out. Let's check that yogurt one. That is a good point, though. Plain yogurt optional. Okay, that's why that one's in there. So yeah, it should be dairy-free and gluten-free. Hopefully we didn't miss anything in there. If you need something, if you only want other things, if you have any special preferences, let me know. If you need something, I do have like low FODMAPs, low histamine. I do have plant-based if you don't want to do animal product. So there are a couple other menus you can do that are still going to be very healthy, very balanced, and we can adapt. So please, reach out, comment on Facebook or email me if you need something else. And we can adjust for it. It won't be exactly the same as everyone else. It'll be a different base menu, but we will start from there. So, okay, so you've got the planner, you've got the recipe box, and you've got these icons up top. So these just show, like, they kind of compress and expand. So this is considered the compressed version. I like it because that way it kind of all fits on one page, and I like to see the whole forest. But you can expand it, get a little bit bigger pictures, and see the full title. But to me, that's a scroll issue. So it just depends what your visual preference is, but that's what those two buttons are. And then we've got the nutrition facts. So if you click the calculator, you can look at the breakdown here. So you get the week total. And this is great here, guys. Just a real quick segue, something that I see a lot of people do. And since we're in the new year here, I just want to point out, it is okay to have treats and have small splurges and go over your total calorie goal like once a week or so, even twice a week. If you know that Friday or Saturday is going to be like a big party day, just adapt for other days and bring the calories down a little, move a little extra, and make sure your weekly total calories hit whatever your average is. So if you needed to just take that total calorie, divide it by 7, you'll know what your daily average is. And that's fine. Or take your daily average goal, multiply it by 7, and know that that's what your week total should be. So don't feel like if you went out and you decided to have a party on a Friday and you had more food and you took in more calories, that, oh my gosh, I blew it, I suck, I'm not doing anything till Monday. Like, no, one day doesn't make or break everything. It's about kind of that week average, that total over 7 days. What's that steady? So that's where that number comes in handy. But from there, yeah, it just breaks down your foods by day. You can see the different nutrients and you can see each food item as well. So if you want to get all that detail, you've got that. If you don't care about that detail, ignore it, but it's there. So going back to the planner, again, it looks like the little calculator. That's your nutrition facts. Grocery list is then the next part. So grocery list is great. You can access this from a phone as well. It is mobile friendly. And what you would do is pick the dates that you're shopping for. So let's say you've adapted your recipes, you've looked at that. Maybe you just want to do, Monday, and everything you make on Monday, you're going to have on Tuesday, and everything you make on Wednesday, you're going to have on Thursday. So you'll be like, you know what? I am just shopping. There you go. For Monday and Tuesday. So there is my shopping list. So you just adjust the dates of the recipes you're doing, and it's going to show everything. Now, again, there are some little hiccups here. Because this is based on the ingredient list as it is input, every now and then you're going to see some repetition. Usually where I see it is pepper. We'll see pepper, and then you might see black pepper or cracked pepper. I don't actually see it in this example, but that does happen. So just read over this. Sometimes you might see things, here we go. Lemon, you need 4, and then lemon, 2 slices. So just sort of read through it. Unfortunately, again, there's a couple little hiccups with the way that things transfer to the rest of the shopping list. But then you can go in and either ahead of time, you can click all the things that you have, kind of adapt for that, check it off. And then you can either print it, print grocery list and do that, or just take this app it's not an app, it's just a website. You'd log in on your phone and you can touch, it's screen friendly. And so you can touch the items and it will check it off by touch as well as you go. So here's another example. Salt with no amount, and then salt, 3/8 teaspoon. So it just kind of shows you some of those examples. And know that you can always modify these recipes. And that's what I'm hoping people will do in the Facebook group. So kind of going back to the planner, if you don't want to do something exactly as is, like this one, I'll be completely honest, when we did this one, I don't like olives, so I just keep those out. And grilled asparagus, well, the asparagus was not available at the store when I went. There was nothing I could find, so I just grabbed Brussels sprouts instead. So feel free to play around with that. Any fruit you can usually swap out for another fruit pretty equally. Any vegetable you can swap out for another vegetable pretty easily. If you have any questions, please let me know. Ask them on Facebook, share pictures of what you're doing. Let us see how that's all going. So any more questions from that? Let's see, how do we know how many calories we need? That's a good question. I mean, there's a website I use. There's a way to calculate all that. It depends. Kind of on a super, super easy method on average, and I hope I don't say this and regret it. If you take your weight times 100, that's usually kind of a good minimum number. And then maybe bump it up a little bit, especially if you're exercising a lot. So for example, a 160-pound person, maybe about 1,600 calories as like a minimum. There is a website, should have this here. Oh, good. Here we go. Should be in here. BMR calculator. Yeah, I think this is the one I use a lot. So calculator.net/BMR-calculator.html. Write that down. Pause this on the replay. But if you put your information in here, it will tell you the bare minimum calories you should have. So in this example, you know, that what I said is kind of a little bit low, 160 pounds at 1600. Again, that should be a bare minimum. That's why it's a rough guess. So yeah, showing you here, basal metabolic rate, bare minimum calories you need before you kind of start risking starvation mode if you do it long term. So 1700 here, and it goes up if you're exercising, and it can go up as well if you are trying to put on muscle mass or you're trying to gain weight back from like long-term chronic health issues or anything like that. If you are interested in setting up a session where we actually break that down, I do offer discounts, but just shoot me a message and I can send you information about what we would go through, what the costs are for that, and like how that would work for you. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a good starting point. And then we break down also from there how much protein, how much carb, how much fat to aim for. So you could adjust your menu as desired from that point if you wanted to, because that will range so much based on what your starting weight is, what your goal weight is, what your body composition goals are, what your height, gender, activity levels, all of that can affect that. So we would have to break that down one by one. Okay, I think that's all I had. Any other questions? You good? Okay. You're excited? Oh, good. Good. I'm excited for you. I hope that goes well. All right. And then, yeah, so if you wanted some other menu plans, if you wanted to look at some of the others I have. So we've got the flex plan. It's just general whole foods. This one's not gluten-free. So if that's not of interest, if gluten-free is not of interest to you, this one might be a little more your style. There's a couple breakfasts that'll throw in like toast and things like that, maybe some pasta here and there. Low FODMAP, so that's especially good if you have SIBO, sometimes IBS. So essentially, if you have a lot of constipation, if you're not sure if you have SIBO, if you have been diagnosed with IBS or you have a lot of like gas, bloat, and constipation typically is with that one might be good for you, a lot of gas, bloat, and constipation. General anti-inflammatory, this one's gluten-free, or we've got a gluten-free, dairy-free, and you guys are on the 28-day refresh. Low histamine, this is if you've got lots and lots of allergy issues. We're seeing a lot of histamine issues with COVID long haul, mast cell activation syndrome. So these are some of the ones that we've created so far. So you can do that from DublinDietitian.com, and up at the top, it would just be under services menu plan. So you can look there. So again, if you would like something changed, if you want your menu plan changed, even if you've already bought the 28-day refresh and now you're seeing this and you're like, oh heck, I want that anti-inflammatory 3-day, that's less confusing, that's less overwhelming. Not a problem. Let me know, we can switch it out. You'll still get a total of 4 weeks, whichever meal plan you want to be on. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers any questions you might have, give you some idea of how to explore this. And again, right now with the 28-day refresh, the way that's going to actually work, once you finish the 28 days, it does automatically roll you into the anti-inflammatory plan. So if you aren't interested in that, please make sure you just cancel out beforehand, because it's just set up on a monthly subscription service. But I think it's a great roll into that. So, once you've gotten to play with it, hopefully you've gotten some new habits set, getting some energy back, maybe some bloat down, some weight loss, then it rolls you into another wonderful menu plan to continue that, or we can again put you into a more specific one if you need. If you have any chronic health issues that are not resolving on a clean eating diet, please let me know. We can personalize even more and go much more deeper. Make sure we find out the root cause of what's going on. But otherwise, that is it, guys. Last call. Any questions? No questions? No. All right. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Have an amazing evening, and I'll see you on Facebook. All right. Bye, guys.